redzonesports.bet, the British home of American sports.
Have you ever heard the phrase, not my thing? Well, not my thing means for me when it comes to gambling, but for these two gentlemen, it's their thing. And I'm trying to say, if you're going to listen to Mill Ham here, take it with a pinch of salt.
Thanks, Kev. I'm going to talk to this guy. He's
Okay,
nicer.
yeah.
Let's talk about some betting here. Chargers and the New York Giants. The Giants are 3.5-point favourites here, and I've gone with the Giants simply because Chargers going across the country. They have been unlucky. A couple of field goals missed. They lost in Denver, and on a last-second field goal, they lost against Miami when they should have kicked a last-second field goal. Dolphins should be 0-3 at this juncture. But I think it's time that Brandon Marshall made his presence felt. So I'm going with the Giants purely and simply because they're the home team. You've got a West Coast team going across East Coast. It's going to be difficult for them. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. My producer will be happy that I'm agreeing that the Giants will win a game. However, from an outsider, maybe going against you, maybe I'm going to say the Chargers just to throw it up a little bit.
Does Ben McAdoo survive?
I think he's got to. You know, we've talked off air about the NFL being completely different to maybe the English sports. So I don't think you can do it just yet, and I think they'll come good, but maybe not this week.
Okay. What about Cards and the Eagles? I've got the Eagles as they're 6.5-point favourites, and the Cards are your team, and I'm just favouring home team purely and simply because I've not been particularly impressed by the Cardinals. I mean, they were very lucky last week to win on a very late touchdown from Larry Fitzgerald. I'm going all in with the Eagles on this one.
Yeah, I think the Eagles' defence will cause us a few problems as well, but I can't do it, so I'm going to say the Cardinals. So I just can't do it.
Right, Seattle and the Rams. Now, one of the most surprising teams this year have obviously been the Rams. They've been scoring points for fun, partly because of my man crush, you know, Andrew Whitworth, who's just protecting Jared Goff like nobody could. And why Cincinnati let him go, I've just absolutely no idea. I've got to get him in. He's my man. He's my man. Andrew Whitworth is my man. Seattle, 1.5-point underdogs. Now that's a surprise to me. They bounced back against San Francisco last week. It wasn't as emphatic as the scoreline would suggest in the end. I mean, it looked a very tight game for a long time. The offensive line of Seattle is not great. But having said that, I mean, if they're getting points in the LA Coliseum, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take the 1.5 points. I don't know what your thoughts on it are.
I think, as we're seeing, these games are obviously not going to be easy to call. So I'm going to go by your betting expertise and follow you on that one.
Right, okay. We got the Ravens against the Raiders. Now, the last time the Ravens, we saw them over in London, they were getting absolutely annihilated. By Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville's defence is great, obviously we know that, but we also thought that the unbeaten Ravens at that time were similarly great defensively. Hasn't proved the case, has it, obviously. The Raiders are 2.5-point favourites, but they don't have Derek Carr. And that's going to be a major issue going forward. And he's probably going to be longer out with a back injury than a couple of weeks that they're saying. So for me, it's a really tough call, but I'm actually going to go with the Raiders. It's going to be a very interesting game. I mean, I'd see if the Ravens can bounce back, especially since they've got to go West Coast as well.
Yes, I think off the back of that though, sort of having a double loss for the Ravens, though, I don't think you'll see them sort of do that too often. So yeah, I see where you're coming from totally. I think maybe on the spread that you've got, maybe it's probably the right bet, but on an outright, maybe have a look at the Ravens on that one for me.
Key injuries as well this week play into the betting thinking. I mean, it's a little bit early for us to find out what's going to happen with Marcus Mariota in Tennessee. Now, Tennessee have got to go to Miami, who've offensively have been absolute garbage so far. Steaming garbage last week as well. Now Mariota's got an injury, whether a hamstring injury. If he plays, they're going to be 3-point favourites. If he doesn't play, surprisingly, Miami have scored a total of 6 points in the last 2 games against the Jets and the Saints, whose defence was not great, but is probably a lot better than people are thinking. Matt Castle will be the quarterback, if that's the case, and Miami will be favourites. They've got Jarvis Landry, they've got Devontae Parker, Kenny Stills, although he's got a hand injury. they've got a Jai as well. You know, they've got a lot of weapons. Miami, they're not getting it together, partly because obviously the offensive line, the defense is holding up, whereas Tennessee's defense is pretty dreadful, to be honest. Swiss cheese. I mean, 386 yards they gave up last week. Well, 386 yards per game on average. 31.5 points per game. I'm going with Miami. I think the first home game in effect for them this season in Miami. And,
this is the easiest game for me.
Is it?
Cool.
Just because
No. I'll stick with you on this one. I will follow you this week, and I think people should follow you definitely with this game. All right. Yeah. This is the last time that will ever happen, by the way. But we'll definitely go Miami. For me.
One stat in that game is a trend. Yeah, you know, I love my historical trends. Tennessee have not won 3 consecutive in Miami since 1969. So.
There you go, betting fans. That's a good stat to have.
Miami will win that one for me.
Okay.
Final game we're going to have a look at this week is obviously the Monday night game, because that's where you know I lose the first few games and then we get it all back on a Monday night.
How to recover your money? Yeah.
Minnesota, Chicago. Minnesota go to Chicago. Minnesota 3-point favourites. I mean, we've spoken about this briefly. Third down percentage for me is key with Minnesota. They've got a great defence. They're going up against a rookie quarterback in Mitch Trubisky. I think this is a simple one, but the line for me should be much, much bigger than it is. So it's a slight red flag. Home teams on Monday night are always better valued. They're always, you tend to get better results with home teams on a Monday night. I don't know for whatever reason, but that's always been historically the case. But even so, rookie quarterback going against this pretty solid Minnesota defence, that I'm going to go with Minnesota.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. And as we touched on in the show, sort of Sam Bradford coming back as well, I think we'll just add another sort of string to their bow, and I think they'll roll over the Bears.
Great stuff. So that's the betting show for this week. Don't forget to get your bets on with redzonesports.bet. We're the SportsHeads. We'll see you soon.
But you know what? Before you go, I got to just say this. I had a grandfather who lived to be 107 years old. And he said to me one day, he goes, son, the best way you double your money is fold it and put it in your pocket. Great luck to you. Hopefully you have more money in your pocket next week than you have this week from SportsHeads.
American football and my hot cheerleaders. It'll make you feel like a Yank. redzonesports.bet, the British home of American sports.
Watching SportsHeads. Don't forget, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, but you can also hit us on Twitter, Instagram. We would love to hear from you. We're trying to take the program from next level to next level to next level. Enjoy.